Kenny Wallace made his early foray into racing, following in the footsteps of his father Russ and brother Rusty, competing in street stocks, first making a name for himself on the national level working as a crew member and mechanic on Joe Ruttman's Cup Series entry for Benfield Motorsports. Behind the wheel, he would notably win the 1986 Rookie of the Year honors in ASA. In September of 1988, he would get the opportunity to make his first Busch Grand National Series start, driving the number 8 Chevrolet for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated at Martinsville Speedway. 1989 would mark his first full-time season in the series, driving for his brother Rusty in the number 36 Pontiac with sponsorship from Cox Treated Lumber. Things would kick off with a strong showing, earning the pole for the season-opening Goodies 300 at Daytona and coming home 10th. He would earn additional top 10s at Martinsville and Hickory in March and break through to earn his first career top 5 at Bristol in April. Earning another top 10 at South Boston in early May, he would claim another pole and top 5 finish at the Nashville Fairgrounds later that month. The third place run would be a new career best up to that point. At Dover in early June, he would kick off a 13-race streak that would see him earn 9 top 10 finishes without finishing outside of the top 20 once. He would earn 2 further top 5 finishes over this stretch, first at Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, and later at Richmond Raceway in September, where he would match his career best of 3rd. He would close out the year with 1 further top 10 finish at Charlotte Motor Speedway in October. Having peaked as high as 4th in the overall standings during the summer months, he would ultimately come home 6th, having earned season totals of 4 top 5 and 16 top 10 finishes and claiming Rookie of the Year honors. For 1990, he would retain the same ride and sponsorship. After running 25th at the season opener from Daytona, he would come back to earn back-to-back top 5s at Richmond and Rockingham. He would suffer engine overheating issues at Martinsville before closing out March with top 10s at Hickory and Darlington. A new career-best second-place finish would come at Lanier Speedway on April 28th. After a setback at South Boston, he would earn 3 straight top 10s at Nazareth, Hickory, and Charlotte. Unfortunately, this time a tough streak would begin at Dover in early June, lasting through late July. The sole bright spot would come in the form of a 3rd-place run at Myrtle Beach. He would close out the year with 5 additional top 10 finishes over the remaining 11 races, with season totals of 4 top 5 and 14 top 10 finishes in 31 events. He would end up 7th in the standings, losing a tiebreaker with Tommy Ellis. Championship-winning crew chief Steve Bird would join the team for 1991, and this would prove to be a breakout year, kicking things off with a top 10 at Daytona and backing that up with consecutive top 5s at Richmond, Rockingham, and Martinsville before breaking through to earn his first career victory at Volusia County Speedway on March 24th.
Here's a good battle on the speedway between Kenny Wallace and Dave Resendiz. Wallace, of course, the current Busch Grand National points leader.
He started this race 13th, and he's been chopping his way through the field very steadily. He's now looking to the outside of Dave Resendiz. A very dangerous thing to do here. The outside groove definitely a lot slicker, but he gets a good bite coming out of turn 4.
Man on the move through the field is Kenny Wallace. Those tire tests that he did back here in January obviously paying off. The Busch Grand National points leader is setting sail for the leader.
First 4 races, he's had 3 top 5s and 4 top 10 finishes. You can see him now. He has dispatched of Elton Sawyer, moved into 2nd, is closing in rapidly on Jimmy Hensley. Interestingly enough, you mentioned they came here and tested. They brought back a different car. They just felt this one would be quicker. Apparently, they made the right choice.
Kenny Wallace also holds the distinction of being the only Grand National Series regular to finish in the top 10 in all 4 races so far this season. Obviously, the addition of Steve Bird as a crew chief has made a significant difference. Look at Kenny Wallace. He is all the way on the rear bumper now of Jimmy Hensley, and we've got another good battle for the lead. Hensley, the veteran driver, Kenny Wallace, the driver with the unfortunate moniker of promising young driver, but he's had that since he came in the series.
Well, he certainly is one of the best drivers on the series. He dips down underneath Hensley, and he will become the leader of the Spring 200 on lap number 74. So Kenny Wallace puts that Pontiac up front. Hensley comes right back. Kenny Wallace has had a number of close calls. Nashville, Tennessee, 1989. Tommy Houston will really have to pick it up in a major way to track down Kenny Wallace. This is Wallace's 66th Grand National Series race. Will it become the race where he marks his step up into stardom on this series? We're about to find out. He's just 7 laps now, or 6 laps rather, away from claiming his first victory. You see Kenny Wallace there. He's working out of turn 2 and now moving on the back straightaway as Tommy Houston is just making his entrance into turn 1.
Kenny Wallace came down here in January to test tires for Goodyear. Even though they didn't bring the same car back, they've obviously learned something. The experience of crew chief Steve Byrd is important, and with 5 laps to go, he appears en route to that first elusive victory.
Steve Byrd apparently has the Midas touch. He turned Rob Moroso and Steve Grissom into a winner. He's about to do it for Kenny Wallace. 4 laps to go for Wallace, and it will keep this amazing streak alive. Wallace has started the year. He will have 5 top 10 and 4 top 5 finishes to open the season, and he will certainly increase his point lead. One other good sign for Kenny Wallace right now, he's got clear racetrack. For the next 2 laps, that's what he'll be facing. Just has to keep the car between the white line and the wall somewhere, and he will grab his first ever Grand National Series victory. He's got 2 laps to go, working out of turn 2.
Less than a mile to go now as he'll come by this time and take the white flag from starter Mike Harwood. 1 to go for Kenny Wallace, the St. Louis, Missouri driver, just 14 seconds away from that first victory, heading down the backstretch the last time. And Kenny Wallace will do it. He will win his first Busch Grand National race here at the Volusia County Speedway, your Spring 200 winner.
Kenny, it's been a long time since you visited Victory Lane. Last time in the American Speed Association. You finally picked one off, and your brother's not here.
No. Hey, Rusty, what do you think of that, huh? Man, that was great, I'll tell you. I just want to thank Rusty and Patty. You know, without my brother and his wife, I wouldn't be here. You know, through perseverance, watching me go through the hard lumps, and finally got a great crew here. Steve Byrd, the crew chief. Thank you, Tommy. Man, I appreciate it. You know, I can't say enough about my guy, Steve Byrd, my new crew chief. Toucan, I feel so great for him. He's been a long time, and I tell you, I'm not speechless, but I could just go on and thanking everybody. Cox Treated Lumber, you know, them people been with me 3 years, and I've had a bet. I get to pay my car owner, or Hayes Armstrong, $20. I've had a $20 in my pocket since I've ever started this series, and he told me pay it when we win, so this is great.
Sitting atop the points standings for 6 weeks over March and April before slipping back to 3rd in the early summer. He would earn a top 10 at Bristol and top 5s at Nazareth, Rougemont, and Myrtle Beach before taking home the checkers in the Budweiser 300 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway July 14th and retaking the points lead. After back-to-back second-place runs at South Boston and New River Valley, he would suffer his first DNF of the year after a crash at IRP. Retaining the points lead after top 10 runs at Rougemont and Bristol, an engine failure at Darlington on Labor Day weekend would allow Bobby Labonte to go ahead by 7 points. Wallace would take back over the top spot by 2 points the following week at Richmond, before a brutal crash in the return trip to Loudon October 13th would set him behind once again and unfortunately leave him with lingering injuries. After earning 2 race victories, 11 top 5, and 17 top 10 finishes in 31 starts, he would ultimately come home second in the overall standings at season's end by just 74 markers behind Labonte. The team would pick up primary sponsorship from Dirt Devil for the majority of the 1992 season. Wallace would keep up the momentum from the previous season, earning a solid 16th place run at Daytona, followed by a top 5 at Rockingham and a runner-up finish at Richmond that would put him atop the points standings. He would make his way into victory lane for the 3rd time in his career on March 22nd, taking home the checkers at Martinsville Speedway.
And up at the front of the field, Kenny Wallace having ideas about taking the lead from Joe Nemechek.
Mikey's tried him inside, and he protects that, and he's drove to the outside a couple of times. And he's either thinking that he's got the ability to move out there and make it stick, or he's wanting to think inside, but he's driving right on the outside, giving it a shot.
Kenny Wallace trying to move to the front, and looks like the front end washed just a little bit on Nemechek's car there.
That's one thing that makes the pass possible. The Nemechek's car, when he used the whole racetrack, he could go on. Right now, Kenny took the outside away from him. Kenny made him pinch his car down, then he can drive on by him just like he just did. Mike, how crazy racing is at times. We're talking about cars back there running up front without sponsorship. Here's Kenny Wallace leading the race, leading the points. And actually, when the season started, his deal fell apart. He didn't even have a race team. And Felix Sabatis and those guys step up, and they put this team together, and here they are leading the race and points. They're in really good shape.
I think we reported at Richmond the car he drove that day. It had 3 different owners in one day.
Yeah,
not 4 days before the race. But he has the same crew chief, Steve Byrd, some of the same organization. serving him well. And now he's beginning to open up some daylight.
Mike, we talked a little bit earlier about this car had 3 owners in one day. That's a situation where that was a car that was in his stable last year when they ran second in the points, and he really liked that little race car. And he told him, he said, I'd sure like to buy that thing from that other team. And it took a lot of changing around and different ownership and everything, but he's got it back, and it shows up how much he really likes it. It performs well on the short tracks.
Yes, he does. And here comes Nemechek for the lead on the inside. Drops it down in there hard. Second car in the picture, Kenny Wallace. Nemechek is right after him again. 6 laps to go. Kenny Wallace trying to win his 3rd career Busch Grand National race, and Joe Nemechek sees his first win just 5.5 laps away. And here is the front 3. Again, as Resendiz peels out of the way. Nemechek loose out of 4 once again.
Chuck Bound go try it on the outside. He's really coming up through there.
3 more laps. 2 laps to go. Kenny Wallace. Boy, if they had a fuel gauge, would it be bouncing off the peg right now? Nemechek dives to the inside, and Wallace shuts him down.
Comes Chuck Bound on the outside around Nemechek.
And Kenny's car faltered there a little off the corner. Nemechek got into the back of him. White flag. 3 cars racing for a position only one will fit. Victory lane. Back straightaway. Tracy Leslie bounced off the wall in 2. No matter. Here they come for the win. It is Kenny Wallace. On the bottom, Nemechek sends it sideways. Bound comes sliding across. And Nemechek gets second. Bound third.
Well, I hate to hang around such a sad bunch of people, but Kenny Wallace, great job there. Good deal. What a finish.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've won 2 races before this, and they ended on greens. The radial tires are great. They run all day long, but boy, on restarts, they're hard. They're hard to get a hold of. And I knew that I just couldn't overdrive. I had to lay off early and let them guys fight it. When I seen Chuck getting on the side of the 87 car, you know, that was it. But it was wild. I just had to let her hang out.
Could you see that in the mirror that was happening between Chuck and Joe as you crossed the finish line?
No. When I come off of 4 and seen the checker flag, I was just making sure I was rolling in the throttle right. I'll tell you what, I want to sound like a commercial, but this is great for Dirt Devil. Felix Sabates. You know, this team wasn't even together a month ago, and I just got to say this. You know, we just came out of the bricks, and here we are. Dirt Devil Vacuum Cleaners, Felix Sabates, a win already at Martinsville, and I want to thank all those guys. Thanks a lot, John Balch and Felix.
He would remain the points leader for 15 races, earning top 5s at Lanier, Rougemont, and Myrtle Beach, and top 10s at Bristol, New River Valley, Nazareth, and Watkins Glen. Unfortunately, the season would take a turn at Volusia County on the 4th of July, where he would suffer the first of 6 DNFs over the remaining 14 events of the season, managing top 10s at Bristol, Richmond, Rockingham, and Hickory, and a top 5 at Dover over this stretch. He would ultimately come home 6th in the overall standings at the end of the year, compiling season totals of 1 win, 7 top 5, and 15 top 10 finishes in 31 starts. Moving up to the Cup Series with Felix Sabates for 1993, after his team expanded to 2 cars, Wallace would remain absent from Busch Grand National competition for the entire season. Signing on with Phil Martacei Racing for the 1994 season, he would return to Grand National competition with a vengeance. An 8th place run at Daytona, a runner-up at Richmond, and additional top 5s at Martinsville, Darlington, and Rougemont would put him atop the point standings on April 30th. He would remain on top following a top 5 at Loudon and a top 10 at Nazareth before an engine failure at Charlotte on Memorial Day weekend would drop him back to 4th. The summer months would be up and down, suffering 3 further DNFs, though also claiming runner-up finishes at Myrtle Beach and Hickory, an additional top 5 at the Milwaukee Mile, and a top 10 at IRP. He would break through at Bristol on August 26th, earning his first victory of the season and the 4th of his career.
Well, they are really putting the pressure on Houston. When I say they, we're talking about Ricky Craven in the DuPont Chevrolet number 2 and Kenny Wallace in the PIC Financial car in the Ford number 8. But I think Craven can run faster. He's going to stick a nose down there again. Just thinks better of it. As he goes into the turn now, he gets a nose under coming off the turn. He'll make the pass.
And I tell you what, Tommy Houston might go back to about 7th or 8th before he can get back to the inside. Well, 3rd spot.
It'll be a 4-tire change for Kenny Wallace. Right side's already on. We haven't seen him make any chassis adjustment as of yet, although they were talking about an air pressure adjustment. And now Kenny Wallace is down and away, and he's going to cut off his brother Mike as they head down pit road.
13 cars in the lead left. The green flag waves, and Kenny Wallace out of the pits, and the car number 2 of Ricky Craven very slow on the restart. And Kenny Wallace gets a big jump.
Back in Bristol, Tennessee, we went green 1 lap ago. Nothing's changed. 31-year-old Kenny Wallace trying to pick up his first win in 1994. He's the leader.
I tell you what, get him named to drive that 28 car, the Havoline car in the Winston Cup race tomorrow night is, looks like it's got this boy pumped up.
And here's the interval. That's 3rd and 4th. Where's our leader? Half a lap ahead. That's Kenny Wallace. Laps winding down, less than 15 to go here at Bristol, Tennessee, and that's the car they're chasing, Kenny Wallace. Moving in on the car number 63, Ned.
And it's running in the 11th position.
You know, Kenny Wallace has run very well this year in that number 8 car, the TIC Financial car. He just has not caught a break.
In fact, Benny, he has led now over 600 laps. He had led 569 laps coming into this race, 9 different events, and had not gone to victory lane. He'd always had something happen in the late lap. He's got 11 laps now to hold his breath.
And here's our leader, Kenny Wallace, that we're talking about. And I tell you what, he better be glad there's only 9 laps to go, because right in front of him, there's a mess going on. And there's Kenny Wallace, so you can see it's almost exactly a half lap difference between 1st and 2nd.
Ken, getting named the driver of a top Winston Cup car like Kenny Wallace had to do, can that make the emotional difference and for an edge for a driver to be able to come out and do something like this?
Well, it could possibly, but as we've said, Kenny Wallace has run so good all year long in that car. Should have won several races. Brakes just didn't fall his way, and they've fallen his way here tonight. But I'm sure that adrenaline is flowing.
But I tell you what, I always say that you cannot underestimate emotional value when it comes to a race car. It's worth 25 horsepower on these race cars.
You think you didn't see some emotion a minute ago? Those people there in Kenny Wallace's pits realize that the problems have happened to him all year long. He is less than half a mile away from win number 1. Carl Simmons waves the white flag. Kenny Wallace down out of turn 4, takes the checkered flag and will get the victory. And listen to this crowd.
2 weeks later, he would pull back into victory lane, taking home the checkers at Richmond, a track where he had consistently run strongly at in the past.
First few cars single file. There's Kenny Wallace side by side with Ricky Craven, 2 of the battlers for this championship. They are 2nd and 5th in the points coming into tonight. Mark Martin's right behind them.
When your car's not right, you just motion to them to go on, and when you adjust your car, then you'll race with them.
5th place, taken by Kenny Wallace.
You see, Kenny Wallace has moved all the way up into 5th place now. He's really got this race car running well. The 8 car just going out of the frame there. It's just in front of Ricky Craven and the Winn-Dixie car, Mark Martin.
Now, Kenny could easily win this race. That car has won here before with Bobby Hamilton. It's run well here before. And if Kenny's old race car don't let him down, he can win this race tonight.
He'll be working on that thing. Every time they stop, he'll be making corrections on the chassis. Kenny Wallace just went right on by Earnhardt and moving right on up. He's in 2nd place now.
Chad Little took a long slide in turn 4 and then straightened up.
Yeah, you got to pass for the lead here. Kenny Wallace just blew by Uncle Mike, and he's going on.
You see right here, David Green fixing to go a lap down to the leader. He was the last car on the lead lap in 8th place, and you see, I mean, the Wallace car is really hooked up. The 8 car there is just perfect. It's driving right around the racetrack. It's never slipping. It's getting tremendous forward bite, and he's just moving away.
There are your leaders. Mark Martin is closing it down on Kenny Wallace.
Looks like Mark's car is a little better just entering the corner. Now watch when they take off here. Kenny Wallace's car is extremely strong up out of the corner.
It could be just a little different in the gear ratio. Maybe Kenny's pulling his kick lower gear than Mark is, and it's getting him up off the corner a little bit better. Right now, Kenny Wallace's car is flawless. Just doing everything right, and he's holding a pretty wheel.
I hadn't heard that in a long time. That's what the Wood brothers used to tell me. They just, son, you're holding a pretty wheel.
Pretty wheel. In my opinion, anytime you can put distance between you and that 60 car, you have an awesome race car, because that has been the best car on the circuit for quite some time.
Well, I tell you, he started something at Bristol, and he's carrying it right on. I'm so happy for Kenny Wallace because he is such a delight to talk to, and he loves racing so much. It's good to see him have a lot of success.
You know what makes the difference, buddy? Confidence.
Well, the only thing that this Phil Martacei car has lacked has been the reliability. He's led a bunch of races. He's dominated races. He just needs to finish races.
White flag.
Last lap for Kenny Wallace. Here's this battle back at 14th, folks.
At the most.
Kenny Wallace scores his 5th career victory in the Busch Series. Mark Martin finishes 2nd.
Well, Kenny Wallace, congratulations. Finally got to see you win a race, but you've done something that no other driver for Phil Martacei has done. That's win 2 races in one season. You guys are really on a roll.
Well, I tell you, this is a good race car here. This is the car we won Bristol with, and you know, I qualified in the tires that we started the race on. They were pushing and qualifying. It didn't do that earlier, so I knew when we get some more tires on it to take off. So, you know, my credit to Goodyear, Gil Martin, whole Phil Martin team, and you know, this new red dog here. This is something on the hood that we're gonna let everybody know here in a couple of weeks what it's all about.
Well, you can't tell us tonight.
No, I can't tell you, but I want to tell you so bad, but I can't.
His career-best 3rd win of the season would come 3 weeks later at Martinsville in the penultimate race of the season.
See, Kenny Wallace, he's moved into the front fray here now, and he's starting to run well. And he said, would you please tell everybody that I'm going to stay with the team that I'm with right now, the Phil Mar Racing. We have 3 cars already built. We're going to run a full Winston Cup schedule next year and 12 Busch races. See, Dennis Setzer going by Terry Labonte, and he brings right along with him Kenny Wallace. David Green knows in 8 or 10 laps he'll get back up to Phil Parson. Phil on the restart seems to have a very fast car, but he's got problems right now on the outside. As you see, Kenny Wallace trying to take the lead from Green.
And that red dog on Wallace's hood looks hungry. Here he comes. Phil Martacei, number 8. David Green got a little squirrely on the bottom of turn 2, and Kenny Wallace takes the lead.
Kenny Wallace told me, he said, this car is going to get better the longer we run. Boy, he knew what he was talking about. That race car is hooked up. He's not going to take a chance. He's got a race car he feels maybe he can win the race with. He's got other problems. He's got a brother that's right behind him that's led a lot of this race today.
Kenny Wallace leads this race. He's in a Ford. A Ford has never won a Busch race here. 32 races. We haven't seen much of Kenny Wallace, and it's because he's been so far out in front. 23 laps to go in the TIC Financial Ford. So it's the last time around for Kenny Wallace. The Phil Martacei TIC Financial Ford. One more corner, and a Ford will finally have won a Busch race at Martinsville.
And 3 for this particular car this year. Great job, guys.
Closing out the year with a top 10 finish at Rockingham, he would come home 4th in the overall standings, having earned 11 top 5 and 15 top 10 finishes, along with the 3 race victories. He would make 15 starts in the series for 1995, with sponsor Red Dog Beer coming on board for all of them. A 4th place run at Daytona would kick things off. The next time he strapped into the car at Richmond on March 3rd, he would break through, earning the 7th victory of his career.
And here's Kenny coming up for 3rd place. Little brother. He won here last September. He's in 2nd place. But Kenny Wallace is looking all over the back of that car.
Kenny's got I think probably got about the best car right now. I think he's probably managing it a little bit better too.
Kenny Wallace is all over the back of Benson. I mean, there wasn't inches apart in the corner. He's trying to make a move right now on the outside. If he passes Benson on the outside, he gets the Attaboy Award. Here comes Benson on the inside, trying to get under Wallace, going down into turn 1.
Tommy Houston is hanging in there too, y'all. He's just kind of lingering back here, doing a good job.
For 2nd place, Mike Wallace, Kenny Wallace on the high side, Johnny Benson on the bottom, turn 3.
Whether or not Kenny Wallace is going to go the fastest line, which is the bottom, and he goes right by his brother there. Mike Wallace moves him in 3rd place right now.
I think we're seeing Kenny really drive a smart race. He's letting Benson and his brother there kind of fight it out, and when one of them makes a little slip, he just goes right with the other one, and he's just using his head today.
Here is a look at your leader, Johnny Benson. Kenny Wallace tacked right on to him as they lap the cars of Bowley and Clark.
Darrell, that was very impressive getting in the corner there. Benson got in as good as he could. Kenny went in a little bit wide and made up ground on the outside, so he's got a very strong car.
Spotters hauling on the radio, and the crew choose twos. Buff those tires off and get ready to go. And that's exactly what Kenny was ready.
Kenny Wallace jumps out to a 2-car length lead as they roll into turn 1. Kenny Wallace trying to give Ford its 3rd straight win in Busch Grand National competition. They're 2nd and 3rd place, gaining ground, but in only 3.5 laps. Something's going to happen in front of Kenny Wallace.
Well, I think what Kenny's doing now, he's just making sure he has room when he makes the pass. He don't want to give this thing away by making a foolish mistake.
Well, he's caught the traffic just really good. He's going by on the high side and hadn't had any problem carrying them are having trouble back here getting around this other car.
2 laps to go. In the lead, Kenny Wallace.
Johnny Benson showed Terry his move he was going to use on him on the last lap, and that slow car messed him up, so cost him run 3rd.
Last lap. First 3 spots pretty well in hand.
You can see he's really moved up on the 8 car, but right now I think Kenny's saying, don't do anything stupid. You have enough real estate in between you.
Oh, yeah.
For the checkered flag and for his 2nd Richmond win in a row, Kenny Wallace, the Red Dog Hunt, he'll go to victory lane.
He would earn top 5s at the Nashville Fairgrounds, Bristol, and Talladega over the summer, and top 10s at Richmond and Charlotte in the fall. With the team and sponsor remaining in place, he would undertake a similar part-time effort in 1996, making a total of 10 starts. Highlights would include a 3rd-place run at Bristol in the spring, a top 10 at Watkins Glen, and a top 5 at the Milwaukee Mile over the summer. His 8th career win and 3rd at Richmond Raceway would come on Sunday, September 8th.
Well, the big red dog is hunting the day here at Richmond Raceway. Yes, Kenny Wallace has it on cruise control in his Ford Thunderbird. Gil Martin and company, the Phil Martacei owned car, thus far being shown as our leader here. Kenny Wallace 50 laps away from picking up his first win in Busch Series action since the spring of 1995. This ran in Richmond we're talking about.
So now there are 11 cars on the lead lap.
Well, let's check in Kenny Wallace's pits where John is standing by.
Kenny Wallace has got about 34 laps to go to make that 33 right now as he crosses the start-finish line, but the car is not handling. The handle has gone away. He's radioed in and told his crew chief, Phil Martin, it's not handling as good as it was, and they're just trying to coach Kenny into hanging on, being smooth, trying to run consistent laps, and hopefully they can hold off David Green, but David Green is charging hard. Their previous pit stops for Kenny Wallace, they've averaged right around 20.5 seconds for a tire change. We would anticipate the same thing now. As Kenny leads the field down the lead lap cars, it'll be a 4-tire change. We've not been told of any adjustments.
95 working on the left side. Left side tires going on the Ford car. The 95 is away in a hurry. The 4 still sits off pit road. Still sits. Finally, he's down. And then he almost hits Kenny Wallace exiting the pits.
Long pit stop for Kenny Wallace, too, over 28 seconds. They've been turning out those 20-second pit stops, and that was a costly one for him.
Here comes Kenny Wallace trying to get on the inside of Martin.
Oh, Mark Martin jumps back in the throttle, but the car slides up, and Wallace has the inside position on a turn 4.
Kenny Wallace has had a great race car all day long.
Boy, cat, deer, and the dog, if you're keeping score of the animal counts at home. The cat's a lead, the deer's on the inside, and the dog is challenging heavy. Red Dog, Ford Thunderbird, and Kenny Wallace sneaks underneath the John Deere Pontiac, and they are side by side. As laps are winding down, 14 to go, and they are door to door for second spot.
The best thing that can happen to David Green is for those guys to run side by side back there. It gives him a little bit of a cushion.
He goes up and is going to join this battle.
Boy, they are driving their hearts out. The rainstorm moving in and the checkered flag nearing. Coming near here. Oh, and Purvis hits the wall.
Oh, man.
Still goes. Still in the throttle.
But he's damaged the car. We see I saw the left rear tire sticking out the exhaust, so on the left side. So he has made some pretty serious contact with the right side of the car.
And Kenny Wallace able to make the pass on Chad Little. Now Wallace, can he reel in David Green?
And Kenny Wallace has caught David Green as Green trying to get around Spencer. Ooh, and the 3 car's going to be there. This is going to be interesting, guys.
Oh, and some contact between the 8 and the 95.
And now Kenny Wallace has the move on the inside and makes the pass. And David Green loses the lead. Apparently there may have been some smoke coming out of the 3 car. And now Green goes back after Wallace.
Let's see how aggressive David Green can get right here now. He can when the chips are down, and the chips are down right now.
White flag this time by for Kenny Wallace. There's the Red Dog crew, Gil Martin and company, applauding their driver. 3/4 of a mile. That's all he's going to do is hang on and pick up his first win of the year. David Green, the Caterpillar car, the point leader. 2 car lengths back, making 3 car lengths back.
Mark Martin trying to get around Chad Little back there for 3rd. Here's that battle going into turn 3. Martin drives deep into the turn. Little trying to hang on, and here they come for the lead.
Checkered flag for Kenny Wallace.
Shifting his sights more fully towards the Cup Series, he would make a total of 34 Grand National starts between 1997 and 2000, with the majority of them being for Team Renzi. Still showing speed, he would earn a total of 4 top 5 and 16 top 10 finishes over this span. Returning to the series full-time for the 2001 season, he would sign on to drive the number 48 car for Innovative Motorsports after the departure of Mike McLaughlin. Coming out of the gate strong, they would finish 8th at Daytona and 4th at Rockingham. Back-to-back top 5s in races 5 and 6 from Darlington and Bristol would get the team up to a season-high 6th in points. An early crash at Texas would kick off a 7-race stretch that would see 4 DNFs broken up by top 10s at Talladega and Richmond and a top 5 at Loudon. Things would remain uneven throughout the summer and fall, with highlights including top 10 runs at Gateway and Pikes Peak and top 5s at Bristol and Dover. After starting on the outside pole for the season's penultimate race from Rockingham Speedway on November 3rd, he would make his way to victory lane for the 9th and final time of his career.
Well, Alan, September 1996, that's the last time Kenny Wallace won a NASCAR Busch Series race. But so far this weekend, it's been a good weekend for Kenny. Qualified 2nd for the Busch race, 1st for the Winston Cup race, and very good and happy hour for the Busch race. And all that success, Kenny said, is breeding a lot of confidence in this race team. Very few changes this morning, and he said, I feel better about this race than I felt in a long time.
That's right. Get that wallet out. He pointed him by. See that? Go on, you take it. Harvick.
And Kenny Wallace for the lead outside of Jeff Green. Look at this.
You know, we always talk about, we feel that it is an advantage for the Winston Cup driver to run the support race on Saturday, in this case, the NASCAR Busch Series race. But I think seeing Kenny Wallace in the 48 car, the dual stump car up front, it probably was an advantage for him to drive the Pennzoil car here and to find out what kind of setup they had on that car. And he probably brought some of that information over to the 48 car.
I think you're right, Benny. And Kenny gets around this place really good, so he's got a good combination right now for both cars.
Kenny Wallace is currently riding in the 2nd position, right where he started this afternoon. He has finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th here at Rockingham, but never won. Kenny reports in that his car starts out on the tight side, but it does come in as the laps wind down. But he says he's afraid to adjust that tight out of it because the car is so good at the end of the run.
Oh, Jeff Green made contact with the 33 car. Did he get in the wall?
48's coming. Right there with you. One back.
Here comes the challenge for the lead. Kenny Wallace looking on Jeff Green.
48's right with you now. Hit the mark to be smooth.
From 5th on back, I'd be coming in. Exactly, because they've got Kevin Harvick has nothing to lose, everything to gain. He's in 8th position, only 1 car behind him.
And Kenny Wallace is watching to see what all these cars do behind him.
Here comes Kenny Wallace, the 2nd place car.
Here they come. Green and white flags. Last lap, Jeff Green's got the old tires that have been on since lap 93.
Car's gone.
Who's out of gas? Somebody said he's out of gas.
Green flag, green and white.
Uh-oh, they passed.
Looking inside.
Jeff Green is out of gas. The leader's out of gas. Kenny Wallace is the leader. First win for Kenny Wallace since 1996 in the NASCAR Busch Series. Kenny Wallace, 9th career win, and his first here at Rockingham. Kenny Wallace coming to the start-finish line and getting unbuckled. What a finish here at Rockingham. Jeff Green stayed on the track. He ran out of fuel at the restart. Kenny Wallace won the race. Kevin Harvick finished 5th. Jeff Green finished 9th.
Kenny Wallace getting his photo taken, having a little of the product who sponsored this little series here called the NASCAR Busch Series. Yeah, your brother made that for you, didn't he?
Mike made that for me. Now look in here. Hold on. Look in the car.
What else you got in there?
Look what the guys made. It says, right there, it says, "You're the man." They put that in there before the start of the race. It's been one hell of a weekend, man. I feel like I've been to Vegas. And I got blackjack every time. I qualified on the pole, wins cup, second here. And I want to thank all these guys right here, the whole crew.
They want to thank you.
Yeah. You know, we were sitting down there, turned off, and I said, "Jerry, you got to tell me what to do here." And I said, "Okay, if I come to the green flag, how many laps to go?" And it was just a deal. I said, "Well, 2nd or 9th, what's the difference? There's only 9 cars in the lead lap." So, you know, I just couldn't get quite to Jeff. You know, I was pushing too much, and you know, it's just about time. I've won 8 of these Busch races, 10 Busch poles, and I haven't ran the Busch Series full time since '94. So this is muchly appreciated.
Can you even remember September of '96 at Richmond, the last time you won?
Oh, hell yeah, man. I remember every one of my wins. Problem has been lately, though, is every time somebody questions me or something, I go, "Hey, man, listen, I got 8 Busch wins, 10 poles. Now I go, I got 9 Busch wins, 10 poles. This is my daddy right here. Dad, we finally got another win." But they called him the old man of the mountain. He won every damn dirt race there was in Missouri.
Did you ever want to run the rock?
No, I never knew nothing about it at the time.
But your son knows very well. Kenny, what about it now with the car running this well, and tomorrow you are on the pole for the Winston Cup race? Looks good for you.
Well, you know, I think when I won, I think everybody expected me to be giddish, but I've won a lot in my career. It's just, you know, we just had a dry spell here. And Jerry's telling me, 1 second here, I got to thank Gould's Pumps. I got to thank a great sponsor, Gould Pumps. They've been here through thick and thin. But, you know, Fat Boy's on the spotter, and we started getting close to the leader. And they all started running off at the mouth. I said, "Boys, be quiet. I know what I got to do." And we just won the race. Wanted to dedicate that victory right there to Dale Earnhardt. Dale didn't like people doing burnouts because he thought they ruined their motors. So I just wanted to come down, stop at the front straightaway, and thank all the fans. So that was for the greatest driver in auto racing, Dale Earnhardt, the no burnout thing. That was for him.
After compiling 7 top 5 and 13 top 10 finishes, and 1 win over the season's 33 events, he would finish the year 10th in the overall points standings. Between 2002 and 2015, he would make 304 starts in the series, compiling an additional 10 top 5 and 56 top 10 finishes, as well as managing to earn 4 further top 10 points finishes. He would overtake Jason Keller as the record holder for the most all-time starts in the series, taking the green for the 520th time at Texas Motor Speedway in November of 2011, ultimately retiring with the record set at 547 after making his final start in August of 2015 at Iowa Speedway driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. Kenny Wallace has left a huge mark on NASCAR racing, both on and off the track, showing speed on a regular basis throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s. He would ultimately compile career totals of 9 wins, 66 top 5, and 173 top 10 finishes, to go along with 2 top 5 and 10 top 10 points finishes, cementing his spot among the greats of the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series.